My friend, observe the nature of salt. It is far more than a simple mineral to flavor your food. It is an element of profound purity, a symbol found in the deep currents of the earth, holding properties both simple and deeply transformative. I wish to share an insight with you today. Energies of chaos are repelled by salt, not due to its color, its texture, or its form, but because it embodies a fundamental principle of clarity and order. When nature brought forth salt, it wasn't just creating a substance for your table. It was embedding a tool for purification into the world, a symbol of stability, preservation, and quiet strength. Disruptive influences are not deterred by what is loud or visible. They recede from that which possesses an unshakable inner order. And salt, when used with clear intention by a man or woman who understands its principle, becomes a symbol of an impenetrable inner state. The reason salt seems to neutralize chaotic frequencies is because it represents everything imbalance is not. Salt preserves, imbalance leads to decay. Salt purifies, imbalance invites contamination. Salt brings clarity, imbalance thrives in confusion. Salt grounds, imbalance scatters. And when you introduce this principle of salt into your home, your mind, and your daily practice, you aren't just adjusting your environment, you are clarifying your existence. Throughout history, in many traditions, salt was not just a substance, it was a commitment. Ancient wisdom reminds us that our offerings of intention should be made with purity. Why? Because salt served as a potent reminder that the laws of nature are unwavering. Salt does not spoil. Salt does not rot. Salt does not lose its essential nature, and neither does the core of your own awareness when you connect to it. So when disruptive forces encounter a person of clarity, when scattered energies target a being who walks with intention, they are not just meeting you, they are meeting a fundamental law of existence. You see, this clarity creates boundaries. When you use salt with intention, you are not drawing a meaningless line. You are establishing a boundary in your energetic space. You are communicating to every distracting thought, every draining influence, every echo of past negativity. This space is dedicated to stillness. This body is a vessel for peace. This environment is under the jurisdiction of conscious awareness. This is why some homes feel unsettled. But when they approach a space where clarity has been intentionally cultivated, they cannot remain, because the space itself radiates a frequency of coherence and calm. This clarity has no regard for confusion. It will dry the wells of emotional turmoil. It will gently suffocate the parasitic thoughts that feed on your peace. It will dissolve the seeds of negativity planted in your mind during moments of distraction. It will neutralize the discordant frequencies in your personal atmosphere. The reason chaos does not wish for you to grasp this is because once you activate the principle of clarity, you reclaim your own energetic sovereignty. The world may treat these principles as folklore, but the path of wisdom uses them as tools. Salt, as a symbol, is not for entertainment. It is a means of enforcement for your own inner peace. And when you understand this, you won't just keep salt in your kitchen. You'll cultivate its essence in your spirit. You'll hold its clarity in your intentions. You'll embody its stability in your practice. And disruptive energies will begin to avoid you because they do not interfere with a centered and seasoned mind. When the ancient masters spoke of becoming the salt of the earth, it was not mere flattery. It was an instruction. They were saying, you are the preserver of inner truth in a chaotic world. You are the cleanser of mental pollution. You are the agent of stability in a culture of distraction. And if disorder abhors anything, it abhors preservation. It delights in seeing connections fray. It celebrates when minds become scattered. It finds satisfaction when a life's purpose collapses. But when a centered presence walks in, patterns are broken. When a clear mind intends, distraction recedes. When a focused being speaks, the atmosphere shifts. Let me put it simply. Chaotic forces are not repelled by loud people. They are not moved by emotional people. They are not deterred by ritualistic people. But they do recede from clear-minded people. People who have seasoned their minds with wisdom. People who have preserved their hearts through stillness. People who mindfully place symbols of purity at their windows and thresholds. People who understand this is not superstition. It is symbolism. It is sacred. It is a reflection of inner power. If you knew what clarity could do, you would not let a single day pass without cultivating it. Some of you feel under pressure because your home lacks a clear, defined intention. You have aspirations, but there is no preserving force. You speak, but there is no stability in your words. But when you infuse your intentions with authority and declare, every disruptive pattern affecting me is now dissolved. Something shifts. When you declare, let this clarity confuse all chaotic surveillance over my life, the realm of energy responds. Disruptive forces are strategic. They seek openings. They are drawn to contaminated intentions. They look for broken walls in your focus. But when a house is sealed by clarity, when a resting space is held in an intention of peace, when a doorway is marked by your commitment to stillness, these forces cannot stay. They will move on because the space itself sends out a frequency they cannot tolerate. It's the frequency of purity, of order, of serene discipline. And that is why chaos hates it, because it represents a state it cannot access. There are some thought forms that can only be silenced when you apply such tangible intention. Not because the symbol is magical, but because the act is one of profound focus. It is you saying, I align with the universal principles. I believe in my power to preserve my own peace. I believe I am centered. I believe this environment is secure. And when unwavering focus meets mindful action, distracting energies lose their hold. Clarity is not loud. It doesn't need attention, but it changes everything it touches. Add it to water, it purifies the intention. Apply it to your goals, it preserves them. Infuse a room with it, and the energetic residue is cleansed. Bring it into your practice, and the patterns of distraction are cancelled. You've been striving, but your words lack the seasoning of presence. You've been practicing, but your spirit lacks the salt of stability. Tonight is an invitation to add this clarity. It's time to anoint your doors, your bed, your room with firm intention. It's time to cleanse your home of any item that carries disruptive energetic imprints. And it is time to declare that any influence that cannot coexist with clarity must now depart. And as you start to embody this principle of clarity, you might notice you're part of a larger current. The longing for inner quiet and steadfast strength is a shared human journey. If what we're exploring here resonates with the path you are on, I invite you to join this community. Consider subscribing, liking this video, and sharing it with someone who might also be seeking this path. By doing so, you connect with others walking toward the same light, strengthening both yourself and the collective journey toward a more centered existence. This is why some chaotic practices try to mimic and reverse the meaning of pure elements. They attempt to use them in their confusing rituals. But a principle like purity does not obey a confused intention, because it was formed by nature's law. Salt was never intended for convoluted spells. It was designed to represent sanctification. And when a disruptive intention tries to misuse a pure symbol, it encounters a fundamental contradiction. This is why their influence begins to fade. It is why their chaotic plans start to unravel, because a principle like salt is the language of nature's memory. And the moment it is brought into a space of discord, that space becomes a field of purification. Do not treat this insight lightly. Take the power of clarity seriously. Stop thinking of it as superstition. If ancient traditions taught that every offering must be accompanied by salt, we should ask why. Why did every sacred act need this element? Because wisdom was teaching, I do not accept intentions without commitment. I do not respond to actions without the principle of preservation. And that same law applies today. Your practice, your intentions, your walk through life, it must have salt. It must preserve truth. It must drive out the tendency toward decay. The world's distractions are bold today because our inner lives have become bland. But a quiet wisdom is asking, where is your clarity? You don't need to be louder. You need to be stronger within. You need to be seasoned with presence. You need to return to the fundamentals: intention, focus, purity, dedication, and clarity. That is the architecture of inner strength. Don't wait for chaos to arrive. Build your inner sanctuary now. Define your space. Anoint your intention. Let the wisdom of the ancients be a shield around your home. Stand at the gate of your awareness and affirm, "This space is sealed by my clear intention. No disharmony shall enter. No darkness shall thrive. No disruptive thought shall survive, because the unwavering clarity of my own true nature is here." And I want you to remember, this purity does not need to argue. It simply is. It doesn't ask permission. It simply preserves. And when disruptive forces encounter a life lived with clarity, they don't negotiate. They recede. So tonight, take up this principle, focus your intention upon it, declare your truth, and let it be a witness in your home, in your life, and in your generation, that confusion cannot win when clarity is present. And this is why every time you take this symbol and release an intention over it, you're not doing a ritual. You're activating remembrance. The remembrance of your own inner authority, the remembrance of your unbreakable core. Clarity speaks in the invisible realm. Even when you are silent, it declares, "I am preserved, I am centered, I am sealed." Negative thought forms can feel it. Disruptive energies can sense it. Unseen influences recognize it. Because a principle is not just matter, it is meaning. When you understand what salt does in the physical world, you begin to realize what its principle can do in the inner world. In the natural, salt is abrasive. It cleans, it scrubs, it purifies, it removes residue. It stings when applied to a wound. And that's precisely what its principle does in your inner space. When clarity enters your life, it starts scrubbing your atmosphere. It starts purifying every hidden attachment. It begins to irritate every stagnant energy that has been hiding in plain sight. It doesn't soothe confusion, it suffocates it. Do you think the forces of chaos want you to know this? Do you think the energies of distraction are happy when people begin reclaiming the inner technologies that have been lost to mere tradition? The principle of purity is an ancient mystery. Those who thrive on chaos know it. Practitioners of distraction know it. That's why they often try to pervert it. But when a mindful individual, clear in their intention and centered in their spirit, takes up this principle with understanding, it becomes a powerful tool. Do you know why some households are under constant stress? It's not because the chaos is too powerful. It's because the people inside are unaware of their own power. They keep cleaning their homes physically, but never energetically. They sweep the floor, but leave emotional residue on the walls. They vacuum the carpet, but leave the energetic footprints untouched. But when you rise up and declare, "This house is a sanctuary of clarity," every corner becomes infused with light. Every crack becomes whole. Every room becomes a space of judgment for what belongs and what does not. There is something about purity that chaos abhors. It understands that clarity disrupts frequencies. Do you understand that disruptive forces operate by vibration, by atmosphere, by misalignment? They cast their influence into the energetic airwaves. But clarity disturbs that flow. It reorganizes that system. When the principle of purity is introduced into an environment, it sends ripples through the unseen. That's why some people who carry chaos will start to feel agitated just by walking into your clear home. Because your space itself is speaking. It is not allowing their discord to land. Ancient stories tell of a sage who healed a city's poisoned water with salt. The people came to him and said, "The water is foul and the land is barren." He didn't call for grand rituals or ceremony. He called for a symbol of purity, salt, and he poured it into the source. What was he doing? He was using a profound, symbolic act to interrupt the cycle of decay. He took the principle of purity and applied it to the root. He didn't decorate the symptom. He cured the source. That is what you must do. Disruptive energies attack from the source. They never go after the fruit, they poison the root. So if you want to dismantle their influence, you must go to the root. And that's where clarity comes in. Clarity at the foundation, clarity at the gates of your mind, clarity at the doors of your home, clarity in the water you drink, clarity in your resting space, not as an idol, not as a charm, but as a focused tool to say, I cancel every root of imbalance planted here. When was the last time you took up a symbol of purity and walked around your personal space with authority? When was the last time you said, every enchantment of distraction made against this space is broken by my conscious intention? When was the last time you purified your home, not just with cleaning products, but with clear belief? This is the time, because chaos is bold. It is not hiding anymore. It is in plain sight. It broadcasts its confusion. It performs its rituals of distraction on social media. And while many are merely playing, it is plotting. But a higher consciousness is awakening a generation who will act with knowledge. A generation that knows how to be at peace without fear. A generation that understands that every weapon of confusion formed against them will fail when they activate the tools of clarity already in their hands. And the principle of salt is one of those tools. You're not just a person. You embody clarity. That means when you show up, decay must recede. When you speak, confusion must clear. When you hold your intention, corruption of purpose must die. The chaotic patterns in your family cannot resist this kind of understanding. You want to break old cycles, start with clarity. You want to stop draining thoughts, apply the principle of purity with intention. You want to seal your mind for peaceful rest, use this principle before you sleep. Don't just place it, intend over it, declare over it, speak your truth over it. Say, this clarity shall confuse every spiritual spy. This clarity shall deafen every listening ear of chaos. This clarity shall scatter every plan of disorder released against my peace. Let it be activated by your focus. Let it become a tool in your practice of self-mastery. Some people think inner work is just about contemplation. No, it's about strategy. It's about insight. It's about intentional action. And the forces of distraction are terrified of people who know how to take focused, symbolic action with a mind aligned with universal principles. Those who follow chaos manipulate matter because they understand how to engage the energetic through the physical. But the moment a child of wisdom does the same thing through clear and mindful instruction, the shadows start shaking because the universe itself backs what is done in serene obedience, not in fear. This is why many fail in their inner struggles. They either do nothing or they do things without understanding. A symbol without intention is just an object. But a symbol activated by truth becomes a shield, a purifier, a dissolver of disruptive activity. You've held intentions. Now add clarity. You've disciplined your mind. Now seal your gates of perception. You've declared your purpose. Now sanctify your space. Those who spread confusion are crafty, but they are not more powerful than a person seasoned with the unwavering principles of nature. A person who says, my house shall not be a resting place for chaotic energies. My room shall not be a gateway for mental attacks. My mind shall not be a playground for torment. I will rise. I will stand. I will salt my ground with power. When you begin to season your atmosphere with clarity, the invisible realm reacts. You may not hear it, but subtle energies feel it. Suddenly, things that were normal begin to shift. The heaviness lifts. The troubled sleep stops. The strange feelings at midnight vanish. The cold, disruptive presence that lingered in your space disappears. Why? Because the principle of clarity begins to speak, and its language is preservation, separation, and purification. Clarity is a separator. It divides light from darkness, the sacred from the mundane. When you apply it in focus, it begins to separate what should be in your life from what should not. That's why some draining relationships may break when you start walking in purity of intention. That's why some friends may disappear when you begin to clear your space. They weren't uncomfortable with you. They were unsettled by your newfound clarity, because this clarity purifies your circle. It gently removes every unclean attachment. It exposes what was hidden. You begin to notice who gets restless around you. You start to discern who avoids your presence. That is not paranoia. That is purification. When clarity is active, even the chaotic energy within people will begin to react. They get irritated without cause. They'll feel restless around your centered peace. They won't be able to explain why they're uncomfortable. But the world of energy knows your clarity is speaking too loudly. The principle you embody is too strong. Some of you are feeling overwhelmed, not because you are weak, but because your gates are open. The doorways of your awareness have no seal, but when you begin to enforce your own boundaries, using intentional tools like the principle of salt, chaotic influences lose access. You are not just hoping for protection anymore. You are establishing it. You are not just surviving a period of confusion. You're canceling it at its root. You must understand, if salt in the physical can protect food from spoiling, its principle in the energetic can preserve your destiny from rotting. It can protect your purpose from decaying under the pressure of chaos. Disruptive forces often target potential. They want to spoil your future before it ripens. But when your path is salted by truth, by purity, by deep commitment, every attempt to delay or defile it will fail. Have you noticed how chaotic forces love to operate in silence and shadow? But clarity is both visible and sharp. It has a presence. It disrupts disorder. It does not blend in. It makes no apology for its nature. And that is what you must become in this time. No more blending in with a powerless way of life. No more spiritual silence while your peace is under attack. You are the salt. That means you are designed to bring order. You are created to agitate everything that does not align with your highest truth. Do not be afraid to apply this principle where your intuition leads you. On the thresholds of your home, where energies may try to enter. Around your bed, where your subconscious is influenced. At the corners of your house, where negative energetic patterns may have been established. Place the symbol and speak. Declare that no disharmony shall cross this line. No shadow shall walk this boundary. No curse of confusion shall manifest in this atmosphere. Let the principle of clarity speak when you're sleeping. Let it stand watch when you're unaware. Let your own commitment to truth surround you. You must remember that disruptive forces operate through access. They look for emotional wounds, spiritual ignorance, compromised items, and unguarded gates of the mind. But the principle of salt begins to block that access. It clogs their routes. It reroutes their negative projections. It spoils their targets. It interrupts the GPS of their monitoring influences. Because where clarity is, signals get scrambled. This is why some of you will experience resistance the moment you begin to use this principle with understanding. The chaos will try to distract you, confuse you, or even mock the process. But do not stop. Keep declaring, keep anointing, keep enforcing the principle of your own inner truth. Because clarity is not just a one-time act. It's a lifestyle of separation from chaos and sanctification of the self. Disruptive forces recede from clarity because it reminds them of their limitations. It reminds them that while they use confusion, you walk in truth. While they depend on rituals of distraction, you stand on timeless principles. While they manipulate shadows, you command the light of your own awareness. Clarity reminds them that you have not been left powerless. It is a sign that the authority of your true nature is still active on the earth. And when you activate it with focus, you become a walking sanctuary. You don't even have to say much. Just walk in salted authority. Energies recognize it. They know who carries the real thing. That's why some of you do not yet know the extent of your own power. Because chaotic forces have already stopped trying. They saw the clarity. They felt the fire of your intention. They tasted the truth on your life. And they knew this was holy ground. Let me tell you, this generation must return to these foundational inner tools. We've become too intellectual in our spiritual journey. We argue concepts while our houses are in chaos. We debate philosophies while distraction steals the focus of our children. But imbalance is not moved by discussion. It's moved by demonstration. And clarity is a demonstration. It is a physical sign of a spiritual truth. When you walk through your house with a symbol of purity and a clear intention, you are not just going through motions. You are enforcing the rule of order. You are telling every lingering force, your time here is over. You are reclaiming your space. You are re-establishing your inner dominion. You are reminding the spiritual realm that you are not just a tenant in this life. You are a gatekeeper. And the moment you shift from passive to prophetic, from unaware to intentional, everything changes. The universe begins to back you up. A sense of rightness begins to surround you. Peace begins to rest on you. The atmosphere begins to settle, because where clarity has been released, order follows. Where it has been applied, protection flows. Where it is honored, chaos is disarmed. When clarity is honored in your spiritual life, it becomes more than a tool. It becomes a testimony that your environment has been set apart, that your house is not neutral ground, that your life is not a free for energies to experiment on. It tells all disruptive forces that this place is under new management, kingdom management of your own centered being, that every portal they once accessed is now under lockdown, that every energetic legal right they once exploited has been revoked by the authority of your intention. And that's what chaos can't handle: order. It thrives in confusion. It operates in turmoil. But clarity restores divine structure. It creates a profound alignment. It brings your atmosphere back under your life's true blueprint. That's why the moment you begin to clarify your space with understanding, strange activities start to stop. Unexplainable feelings of sickness begin to lift. Strange shadows of doubt that used to pass by your mind's eye begin to disappear, because what they used to invade has been closed off. Some of you have inherited environments that are contaminated land holding imprints of past trauma, houses once used for dark purposes, rooms once dedicated to confusion. But the power of clarity in the hands of a person walking in their own authority can cleanse it. It can neutralize what was done before you ever arrived. It can uproot every deposit of negativity hidden in the foundation. Clarity doesn't just work on the surface. It seeps into the structure. It addresses what your eyes cannot see. If you knew how many patterns of chaos are planted in the energetic realm, on beds, on walls, even in the corners of rooms, you would never go another day without consecrating your space with intention. But the moment clarity is introduced with focused prayer and truth, those patterns become unstable. Their power begins to reverse. They collapse under the weight of purity, because no unclean pattern can stand in a clear territory. No enchantment of confusion can survive where the principle of order has been invoked. And don't think chaos only attacks the poor or the weak. It targets purpose. It goes after people with callings, people with generational assignments, people whose voices carry weight in the world. But that's why you cannot be casual with your inner defense. You can't wait until something happens to start cultivating stillness. You must be proactive. You must stay ahead. You must keep your gates sealed. You must stay salted with clarity. This is where discipline meets deliverance. Because the more consistent you are in preserving your atmosphere, the less ground the disruptive forces have to operate. Chaos only thrives in neglected places. But when your house is a house of intention, your spirit is guarded, your possessions are cleansed, and your environment is seasoned, its assignments begin to fail before they even launch. There are some households where disruptive forces won't even try. Not because the people are shouting, but because the walls are salted with serene obedience to universal law. The air is saturated with peace. The ground is covered with affirmations of truth. The doors are anointed with clear intention. The beds are covered with prayers for peace. And the principle of clarity acts like a divine alarm system. The moment a discordant energy crosses the boundary, a higher awareness is activated. The moment an object is energetically compromised, the negative charge backfires, because everything has been brought under a divine government of your own making. Some people think it's superstition to use these principles in one's spiritual life. That is only because they have never tasted the power of a committed intention. They do not understand how the universe uses symbols to communicate truth. Just like ancient protective signs on a doorpost, a symbol of purity in your environment is a sign. It's a declaration, and it's a reminder to every passing influence that this place belongs to your highest self, that no darkness can rest here, that no charm of distraction, no hex of confusion, no curse of chaos can enter here. There is a difference between living in a house and reigning in it. Many people live in houses, but do not rule their space. Their atmosphere is out of control. Their thoughts are tormented. Their children are oppressed by unseen influences. Why? Because they have not taken dominion over their own energetic space. But the moment you rise with spiritual authority and begin to enforce the kingdom's order, using the tools you have been given, things begin to shift. Your environment becomes your sanctuary. Your space becomes holy ground. And your life becomes a no-fly zone for disruptive energies. You are not just called to survive attacks of confusion. You are called to dismantle them, to cancel them at their origin, to destroy the works of chaos. The principle of clarity helps you do that, not just in the natural, but in the spiritual. When you understand it, you stop reacting and start ruling. You stop begging for peace and start commanding it. You stop tolerating cycles of bondage and begin breaking them with clarity, with confidence, with unwavering commitment. Even your words change when you walk in this kind of power. You no longer say, "I hope I don't get distracted tonight." You begin to declare, "Every assignment of chaos against my life is nullified. Every form of psychic intrusion is grounded. Every disruptive operation sent to monitor my life is silenced. Every negative presence hiding in my vicinity is exposed and expelled by the fire of my awareness and the salt of my commitment." And suddenly your environment begins to agree with you. Peace becomes natural. Rest becomes normal. Your sleep is unshaken. Your atmosphere is light. Because you're not just living there, you are reigning there. You're not just occupying space, you are governing it. You're walking through your house with a symbol of purity in your hand and a scripture of truth in your mouth. And every spirit of confusion that once felt comfortable there begins to feel pressure. Because clarity is uncomfortable for demons. It burns, it irritates, it destabilizes their structure, and ultimately, it drives them out. And when those forces are driven out, do not think they leave quietly. They will look for any loophole to return. They will try to re-enter through strife, through offense, through fear, through compromise. That is why you must maintain the ground you have claimed. Clarity is not something you apply once and forget. It is something you steward. You keep your atmosphere clean. You keep your mind renewed. You keep your heart pure, because clarity must be guarded to keep working. Chaos loves to watch people start strong and finish sloppy. It doesn't mind if you have a moment of consecration, as long as you go back to a life of mixture. But when you determine that your environment will remain clear, that your home will stay a sanctuary, that your gates will stay sealed, they realize there is no cycle they can use to regain entrance. Consistency is the key that keeps the door shut. You must also understand that clarity is offensive as well as defensive. It doesn't just block, it confronts. It doesn't just protect, it purges. That's why when you start salting your life with truth, things begin to surface: hidden habits, unconfessed bitterness, unholy alliances of thought. Clarity exposes what you couldn't see before. It brings contamination to the surface, so you can deal with it. Because the only territory chaotic energy can occupy is the territory you will not surrender to your higher self. That's why some people feel uncomfortable when you start walking in holiness of purpose. They're not reacting to you. They are reacting to the clarity. It makes compromise obvious. It makes lukewarmness intolerable. It makes mixture unlivable. Clarity will never let you stay comfortable in decay. It insists on preservation. It demands purification. It demands separation. This is why chaos fears clear-minded believers, because they know you will not tolerate what others ignore. You will not excuse what others justify. You will not permit what others allow. You will expose it. You will confront it. You will sanctify it. And that makes you a threat to every hidden agenda in the energetic realm. The most dangerous person to the kingdom of shadows is not the one who shouts the loudest, but the one who is salted the deepest with clarity, the one whose life is so preserved that no negativity can stick. the one whose atmosphere is so purified that no darkness can hide, the one whose words are so seasoned with truth that every declaration cuts through the air like a sword. This is where you are being called, not to a shallow spirituality, but to a seasoned life. A life where every corner is surrendered, every door is sealed, every object is sanctified, and every word is saturated with truth. That is the life chaos cannot withstand. That is the life disruptive energies cannot inhabit. That is the life imbalance fears. When you begin to walk in this dimension, you will see the difference. The same patterns that once took you months to recover from will break in a day. The same cycles that tormented your family line will end with you. The same periods of defeat will dissolve under the pressure of your commitment to clarity. Because clarity accelerates deliverance. It speeds up the process of purification. It shortens the lifespan of darkness in your territory. And do not be surprised when you start seeing sudden breakthroughs. When doors that were shut begin to open. When resources that were withheld begin to flow. When relationships that were draining you begin to dissolve. Clarity doesn't just clean, it clarifies. It distinguishes what is of your higher self and what is not. What is for you and what is against you. What should stay and what must go. Some of you have been asking for insight, but you need to clarify your environment. You've been asking for guidance on what's blocking your progress, but your atmosphere is still mixed. When you purify your space, you purify your perception. Clarity clears the air so you can see. It lifts the fog so you can discern. It removes the contamination so you can move forward without resistance. This is why you are being stirred to reclaim the ancient tools, to go back to the foundations, to pick up the very principles that modern thought has discarded as old-fashioned. Because the forces of chaos have not evolved past them. They are still terrified of them. They still flee when they see them applied in focus. They still bow when they hear them declared with authority. The principle of purity, symbolized by salt, is one of those timeless tools. And it is time to wield it without apology. You do not have to explain it to everyone. You do not have to get everyone's approval. Some will misunderstand you. Some will mock you. Some will call it superstition. But let them laugh. Because when their houses are under the siege of chaos and your house is in peace, they will see the fruit. When their minds are tormented and your sleep is sweet, they will remember. When their environments are heavy and your atmosphere is light, they will understand that what you were doing was not superstition. It was spiritual intelligence. This path of cultivating inner peace and unwavering strength is a commitment you make to yourself each and every day. If you are ready to make that commitment, to continue exploring these timeless principles of self, mastery, and clarity, then I invite you to subscribe, like, and share this message. Let your subscription be a symbol of your dedication to your own growth, your own peace, your own sacred journey.